Hello everyone, this is Rastogi Ayush from group LA21922. My topic for presentation is traditional and modern information on the esophagotomy, the resection of the esophagus, operation on the atresia of the esophagus, which is guided by Professor Zadni Priyani and senior teacher Gulliver Arji Salif sir. The esophagus is a tubular structure about 25 cm long that is continuous above with the laryngeal part of the pharynx opposite to the 7 cervical vertebra. It passes through the diaphragm at the level of 10th thoracic vertebra to join the stomach. Three parts of the esophagus are distinguished: cervical part, thoracic part, and the abdominal part. Esophagotomy. Esophagotomy is an incision into the lumen of the esophagus. Before this, let's take a look on the general anatomy of the esophagus. The layers of the esophageal wall include the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and adventitia. The cervical portion of the esophagus inclines to the left of the trachea as it runs caudally and ends at the thoracic inlet. The thoracic portion extends from the thoracic inlet, where it is located to the left of the trachea, crosses the trachea to regain its dorsal position at the tracheal bifurcation, and extends caudally to the esophageal hiatus of the diaphragm. The abdominal portion of the esophagus is short and wedge-shaped, extending from the diaphragmatic hiatus to the stomach. Indication for esophagotomy. Indication for esophagotomy includes foreign body, strictures, esophageal perforation, esophagus rupture, esophageal diverticula, parasitism, and gastroesophageal intussusception. General surgical principles of esophagotomy. Esophageal surgery is associated with a high prevalence of incisional descent than surgery on the other portion of alimentary tract, due to the several factors may contribute to the high complication rate, including lack of serosa, segmental nature of the blood supply, lack of momentum, constant motion caused by swallowing and respiration, and tension at the surgical site during swallowing. The preoperative considerations for the esophagotomy are: fluid electrolyte and acid base imbalance should be corrected before induction of anesthesia. Patient should be fasted 12 to 18 hours before esophageal surgery. Perioperative antibiotics may be given to prevent infection of periesophageal tissues. Approaches to the esophagus are: approach to the cranial thoracic esophagus via lateral intercostal thoracotomy at third or fourth intercostal space. Approach to the esophagus caudal thoracic esophagus at the heart base via lateral thoracotomy at 8th or ninth intercostal space. Approach to the abdominal esophagus via ventral midline laparotomy. Now, let's take a look on the approach to the cervical esophagus. Position the patient in dorsal recumbency. Incise the skin of the neck on the midline. Paired sternohyoid muscle along the midline to expose and retract the sternohyoid muscle. Retract the trachea to the right to expose the adjacent anatomical structures, including the esophagus, the thyroid gland, the cranial and caudal thyroid vessels, the recurrent laryngeal nerve, and the carotid sheath. Pass a stomach tube or esophageal stethoscope to facilitate identification of the esophagus, and listen. Make a stab incision into the lumen of the esophagus and extend the incision longitudinally as it necessary to remove the foreign body or observe the lumen. After completing the definitive procedure, close the incision by apposing the sternohyoid muscle using absorbable suture in a simple continuous pattern. Oppose subcutaneous tissue in a simple continuous pattern with 3 or 4 absorbable suture. Use non-absorbable suture and an appositional suture pattern to oppose the skin. The post-operative consideration for the esophagotomy are: the patient should not receive food or water by mouth for at least 24 to 48 hours after the surgery. Fluid should be continued until feeding resumes. Antibiotics should be continued for several days if the esophageal mucosa is severely eroded or lacerated. Analgesics may be necessary to control pain. Complications. Complications include dysphagia, esophagitis, aspiration pneumonia, wound dehiscence, leakage at the surgical site, ischemic necrosis, stricture formation, and abscession. Now, the second part of this presentation, the resection of the esophagus. Esophageal resection is a type of surgery in which a part of esophagus or the entire esophagus is removed. The lymph nodes near the esophagus and the stomach may also be removed during this operation. Indication for the resection of the esophagus: carcinoma of the esophagus, high-grade dysplasia in Barrett esophagus, destruction of the esophagus by caustic injury, esophageal dysfunction, esophageal perforation, recurrent gastroesophageal reflux. Approaches for the resection of esophagus are upper midline laparotomy, right thoracotomy, left thoracotomy, left thoracoabdominal incision, and left neck incision. Procedure: the mediastinum is dissected along the anterior margin of the left sternocleidomastoid muscle. The cervical part of the esophagus is retracted superiorly till the tumor is seen, and then the tumor is removed. Now, the third part of the presentation: operation on the atresia of the esophagus. Esophageal atresia is the congenital discontinuity of the esophageal lumen. It can be of several types according to the presence of or absence of the tracheoesophageal fistula. Fistula is an abnormal connection between two body parts. In the picture, we can see different types of the atresia of the esophagus. Atresia with distal fistula. In this upper part of esophagus having closed end and the lower part is connected to the trachea. Atresia with double fistula. In this, both upper and lower part of the esophagus connected to the trachea. Atresia with the proximal fistula. In this, upper part of esophagus is connected to the trachea and the lower part is having closed end. Atresia without the fistula. In this, upper and lower parts of the esophagus do not connect and have closed ends. Preoperative managements: maintain a patient's airway, prevent aspiration of stomach content or saliva into the lungs, prone position to prevent stomach secretion from refluxing into the lung, intravenous antibiotics to help prevent the development of pneumonia. Procedure: the operation is performed mostly through the right-sided thoracotomy at the level of fifth intercostal space. Mediastinum is then exposed. The xychus vein is divided by ligature. A catheter is pushed into the upper segment of esophagus by the anesthetist to facilitate the isolation of the segment of the esophagus. The lower segment of esophagus is transected below the trachea. Trachea esophageal fistula and the lower segment is mobilized. End-to-end anastomosis is made between two ends of the esophagus with interrupted silk sutures through all layers. A tube is passed through the anastomosis for feeding and an extra pleural train is inserted. It may so happen that the ends of the esophagus may not be brought together. In this case, the upper end should be brought to the surface on the left side of the neck above the clavicle and a gastrostomy is performed for feeding. Other methods for operation on the atresia of the esophagus includes gastric pull-up, colonic transposition, and jejunum transposition. Now, let's watch a video to understand how the colonic transposition works in esophageal atresia. The colonic transposition is a method to repair the esophagus when it is either too short or damaged. In this method, we use a long piece of the colon to bridge the gap between the top of the esophagus and the stomach. Typically, this procedure requires two incisions, one in the abdomen and one in the neck. A long segment of the colon is carefully mobilized while preserving its blood supply. Then this segment is pulled behind the stomach into the chest to bridge the esophageal gap. Then the stapled portion are removed and the top of the colon segment is sewed to the esophagus. And and then the bottom of the colon is then sutured directly to the stomach. And now here we can see the reconstructed esophagus. To help the stomach empty better, the valve at the end of the stomach is open. And lastly, we need to reconnect the ends of the colon. And finally, the blood flow is preserved to all segments of the colon. That's all for my presentation. Thank you everyone for your attention.